the China virus, because where did it
Yeah.
come from? It came from China. It came
Yes.
from China. And a lot of people didn't want to say that. They wanted to tell you that it came from bat soup. Who the
Mm.
hell would believe that? I call those people bat soup crazy. That's bat soup crazy. Think about it. But it came from China, and we'll let it slide. Believe me, we'll let it slide because you do so well. We'll let it slide. We have to just call it the China virus. Once we call it the China virus, everything will be fine. They want to bring back lockdowns. This is terrible. To bring back lockdowns, it's a horrible thing to do. And again, I never locked down. I told the governors they could do it, and Kristi Noem, she did a fantastic job, didn't lock down. So many other people locked down, and they decided what to do. We shouldn't be doing that, and we shouldn't be doing that again. And it wouldn't be happening again if I were your president, believe me.
You had tweeted once about Diet Coke. Is that something you tweet about again, knowing how much Elon Musk, the owner of X, loves Diet Coke?
Well, I might tweet about it, and I might
Hmm.
talk about. We can't tweet it though. It's called post.
It's called
I.
posting,
It's
right?
called posting. It's like
Yeah.
boring. It's such a
I didn't
boring
mean
thing
to
to
get
do,
named. Hmm.
but it's okay. Means the
Hmm.
same thing.
Yes.
We call it Truths over on my platform. Truth. It's a wonderful platform, but we'll see what happens. But we could post about it. Diet Coke is a great drink. It is a drink that probably Chris Christie needs to acquaint himself with.
Hmm.
Uh, because he should probably diet. And instead of dieting by eating everything, he should diet by eating probably a little less than that, if you were to ask me. But I'm not a doctor. But you could look at him and say that guy's probably not healthy. But I'll probably post about it. It's a great drink. I like it. Or maybe Dr. Pepper, because it's the just another line of doctors. Dr. Pepper. We trust Dr. Pepper more than Dr. Fauci these days. So we'd probably do that, and we'll talk about it. But I could post about Diet Coke. It's a good drink, and I know Elon likes it. I like it too, and they say great minds think alike.
President Trump, Elon once said that he would buy Coke and put the cocaine back in. What are your thoughts on that? And would you do the same thing?
I wouldn't do that, but I know that Hunter Biden would be very excited about doing that, and so would Crooked Joe, and probably Jill, and the whole rest of that crazy, disgusting family. To put the cocaine back in the Coke. The Bidens would invest. They would go. They would call it. And Nancy knows a lot about what I'm talking about. They would go long on it. They would go long on it. So many people would love it, and more people would be hooked on it. But I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't do that. I have enough energy as it is. I'm a high energy person, a lot better than low energy, Jeb. I'm a high energy person, and quite frankly, we won't do that. If we bought Coke, we would not put the cocaine back in there. But if Crooked Joe did it, Hunter would be running that entire division. It would be the most popular drink in Ukraine, believe me.
So, President Trump, I'm going to pivot real quick. So, we all know that you're a friend of the LGBT community. So, I wanted to ask you, what are your pronouns? Can you please share those?
My pronouns are Trump/one because everybody knows it's true. Okay. And I do love the LGBT community. That would be Let's Go Brandon Trump. It's a fantastic community. Or Liberty Guns, Beers and Trump, or all of those beautiful things. But we love the LGBT. These are fantastic people, but the some of them need to rethink some of their decisions. But my pronouns are Trump one because everybody knows it's true. And so the more we can say it, because you have to call me by the pronouns, you know that, the more we say it, the better.
President Trump, what are your thoughts on the fire in Maui?
I think it's horrible.
Mm.
I think Sleepy Joe's response to it was horrible. And if I was your president, I would have been over there in Maui fighting the fires and doing a beautiful hula dance in a coconut bra. It would be beautiful. Nobody looks better in hula garb than I do. Hula, it's a fantastic. That's another fun thing to say. Hula,
Mm.
wonderful thing. I like to say it, but what happened there is terrible. Where are the children? Where are the children?
Yep.
Nobody knows where they went, and we need to find out about it. We need to find out about it because if the children are missing and the Clintons or the Obamas are involved, they're probably, as Oliver Anthony says, minors on an island somewhere, and we don't want to see that happen.
So, while we're on the topic of missing children, what are your thoughts on Jeffrey Epstein? And do you think he killed himself?
Well, Tucker asked me that yesterday, and I didn't really want to answer that question, but I can tell you this. He knew a lot about Crooked Hillary, and generally, people who know a lot about Crooked Hillary wind up dying. And so, by the legal definition, they say suicide, but we know what that means. When the Clintons are involved, it wasn't a suicide. Jeffrey Epstein, as the great Senator John Kennedy says, Jeffrey Epstein has a lot in common with drywall and Christmas lights. None of them hang themselves, believe me.
Do you believe that they burned down Maui to create another Epstein Island?
I think it's possible,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think it's remote enough. But they might be trying to do that. You'll never know. We'll never
Yeah.
know unless I'm your president that we might know. But we have to watch because if the Obamas and the Clintons are involved, we have to be careful and we have to look at it and make sure nothing bad happens to those kids because it would be a terrible thing if something happened to those kids.
So, how do you feel that you get to have the Mona Lisa of mugshots, but Hunter Biden has zero mugshots? If he had a mugshot, would it be the Hunter Biden painting of mugshots?
If Hunter Biden had a mugshot, it would be probably a disgrace. It would probably be an ugly mugshot. His eyes would be cracked out, looking in two different directions at once. It would be terrible. I've got the Mona Lisa. It's the Mona Lisa. It's incredible. And nobody will ever have a mugshot like this. If Hunter Biden had it, it might be the Hunter Biden. It might be the Jackson Pollock of mugshots, just a bunch of scattered drips all over the picture, and nobody would know what it says or what it is. They don't want you to know that it's Hunter. They don't ever want you to know that he's a problem. But they want you to see my face, and I want you to see my face because it's a beautiful face and it's my good side. The entire thing is my good side. They got my good side. The Mona Lisa, the modern day Mona Lisa, it really is incredible. And so it feels great to have a mugshot that is that spectacular, believe me.
Mr. Trump, Jerome Powell again. How do you feel that the chair you once used as the presidential chair, the chair you sit on to write documents and to sign laws, Biden is using it now to sleep as a bed? How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it's terrible because when I get back into the White House, we're going to get a new chair because we know he's not in total control of, they call it his faculties. He's not in control of his faculties. And unfortunately, that means if I have to sit back in the chair that he once sat in, I may be sitting in some things there that would have happened, the same type of things that happened when he met the Pope. You know what I'm talking about? When he met the Pope, it was a complete disaster. It was a complete, you want to talk about a landslide. That was a mudslide. What a terrible thing. But I am upset that he's doing that to my chair. I'll get a new chair, a bigger chair, a better chair, a stronger chair, and the greatest chair when I'm your president again.
What are you going to do on day one in the office?
We're going to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. We're going to get on the phone with Putin. We're going to get on the phone with Zelensky. We're going to have a perfect three-way phone call, and it's going to be wonderful. We're going to end that. We're going to build the wall. We're going to close the gap. You know, there's gaps in the walls. They're bigger gaps than the gap between Stacey Abrams' teeth. There are huge gaps in that wall. And what they said about it, did you hear what they said about it? Why there are gaps in the wall? They said, it's like the song Home on the Range. Could you believe that? Where the deer and the antelope play. They said they wanted to open the wall so the antelope could go back and forth. Why did the antelope have to go back and forth on our southern border? There's no reason for it. It's disgusting what they're doing. And they're letting in a lot of bad hombres. So what we have to do is build a beautiful wall on the southern border. We'll finish the wall and we'll end the Ukraine war and we'll get it done and start getting it done on day one of the second term of the greatest presidency in the history of our country.
So President Trump, who would win in an arm wrestling contest? You or President Biden?
Well, he's challenged people to push-up contests before, and he thinks he's a strong guy. He probably couldn't even get onto the stage for an arm wrestling contest. First thing I would challenge him to is to at least just try to use the stairs to get there. You know, think about it. Just try to use the stairs to get there. And he would probably struggle with that. And it's unfortunate. But I would beat him, and I would beat him handily. It would be easy. I would win bigly. Nobody stands a chance. I'm one of the strongest people in the history of the world. I've got big, beautiful hands, and that's an indicator of many other things, if you know what I'm talking about. But I would win very easily if I had to do that with Crooked Joe.
Mr. Trump, I'm hearing Elon might join, and he wanna maybe thank you and ask you some questions. So stay tuned. And meanwhile, you can say like whatever you want. What happened today? How did it go? Like you can talk about that now.
Well, it went very well. As you know, it went very well. It went incredibly well. We had Fat Fannie Willis, and she had my mugshot taken, and it went very well. We had so much support in Georgia. We had so much support, so many people, beautiful people outside the courthouse in Atlanta. And it was a wonderful place and a wonderful scene and a wonderful time that we had there in the courthouse, outside of the courthouse, outside of the police station, the jail in Atlanta, Georgia. But when you look at what went on, and when you look at what they're doing to our country, it really is a terrible thing. But I can tell you this, we are a nation in complete and total decline. And the reason why we're in decline, we're like in decline with an airplane going down. It's because Chris Christie moved up to the front. We've talked about that. Christie's up towards the cockpit of the airplane, and the plane is in a steady nosedive. That's our country. And what we need to do is we need to cut the dead weight. And when you look at that, that's a lot of weight when you think about it. And there's a lot of dead weight that is all over our country. And it really is, quite frankly, terrible to see it happening. But when you look at what's happening to our country, it really is a disgrace to see our country in such shambles, and to see what has happened to it. It's in flames. It's going down in flames, but I'm going to save it. I'm going to be like Superman, except I'm going to look even better. I'm going to be even stronger. They call me the Man of Steel, because I have extra incredible resolve and the ability to save the world and to save our country. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to save our great country, because if we don't, we're going to lose the greatest country in the history of the world. But we have to save it, and we have to make sure that it becomes and remains the place that other people want to come. You know, you see all these people, the antelopes included, they're coming into our country, and it's because we're a great country, but we're being run by horrible people, run into the ground by terrible people, hideous and disgusting and awful people. And these people need to be defeated. And that's what we're going to do. With all of your help, we're going to do that. We're going to defeat these radical Marxist lunatics. And we are going to win like nobody's ever won before. We're going to trounce these people. We're going to beat them so badly. We're going to beat them so badly. It's going to be an enjoyable experience, and it's going to be a hard contest, but we're going to win. And we're going to save our country, because we have to do that. We have to do that. We can't let it go to hell. We can't let it be as vulnerable as it is. We can't let it be a plate of French fries in front of Stacey Abrams that stands no chance. We can't let it do that. We have to win, and we have to fight hard, and we have to fight like hell. And people don't like when I say that, but I said it, and I'll continue to say it. We have to continue to fight, and we will continue to fight. And I'm looking forward to speaking to Elon. Hopefully he gets in here because it would be wonderful to speak to him. But today was a terrible day for the history of our country, but it will get better. I assure you it will get better.
President Trump, let's obviously hope it doesn't get this far. But if you do end up in prison, like what would your day-to-day routine look like if that horrible scenario does occur?
Well, when you're in prison, you get to make one phone call a day, and I will tell you that I'll be able to make perfect phone call after perfect phone call after perfect phone call, and it would be so incredible. And the people are going to be listening to the phone calls and seeing what they could get me for next. I don't think it's ever going to happen, though. We're never going to go to prison. It's never going to happen, and we're not going to be able to uh, let them do that. We're going to defeat them, but it will be something that if it does happen, you could expect a lot of perfect phone calls. And I'm going to come out of there ripped. You're going to see all these people who go to prison. They come out of there in fantastic shape, and nobody's in as good a shape as I am. But I'm going to come out of there ripped. You look at it. I'm going to come out of there huge. It's going to be great. So if we do go, I'll be coming out of there stronger than I went in, and that will be incredible.
What do you think that they think they're going to do? Because you are entitled to Secret Service. So do they think they're going to imprison your Secret Service with you? Like, what have they thought this through?
They have not thought it through. They would have to shut down an entire wing of the prison where you're going to put those people. But the Democrats love putting bad people on the streets. And so maybe they have thought it through. But it would be a beautiful cell block. We'd be in cell block 45, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful place. And I'd have the greatest cell, gold toilet. I'm not going into prison if there's not a gold toilet. We're going to have a beautiful gold toilet in the jail. And it would be incredible if I have to go there, but we're not going to have to go there. But these are good questions just in case I go there and have to make perfect phone calls. But we're not going to have to go there. We will not be behind bars. We will be putting bad people behind bars and keeping bad people behind bars. But uh, they would have to clear out the entire prison to let me in. That's how important I am. And, they're not going to want to have to do that, but they're going to have to do that.
Yeah, you have cell
President
block 45 and 47. Go
That's
ahead,
correct. It
Robert.
would be both cell blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So President Trump, earlier you mentioned Marxist. So like one comment that I remember Elon Musk making is that Marx was himself was a trust fund kid, and I myself have noticed that many Marxists come from rich backgrounds. So what are your thoughts on these people who call themselves Marxists and their plans for the country?
The Marxist plan for the country is to destroy the country. These are Marx. To do. He had terrible comments about me. We call him a snake. I got along well with him. I pushed him around, actually. He was a very weak little man, possibly related to Castro. We don't know, but he looks like him, looks a lot like him when you look at that. But he's a terrible guy and a soy boy and an awful person. And we did sign, though, we did a good job with the USMCA, which is the United States, Mexico, Canada agreement, the greatest agreement in the history of the world. And we made so much off of that deal. We did great deals, and he wanted certain things. I said, Justin, we're not going to allow hockey and maple syrup in the United States. He said, Mr. President, please don't do that. And I said, okay, well, you have to sign this deal. And he signed the deal. And then he said terrible things about me. But we all know he's a soy boy. He's a very weak little person and very low testosterone, lower testosterone than, quite frankly, probably Mulvaney, lower testosterone than Jeb Bush has energy when you look at it, lower than probably DeSantis is. So I call him DeSantis. That's not his name. The sanctimonious, lower than his energy levels too, is Justin Trudeau's T. They call it T levels. He's a weak little guy. And when I'm your president again, I will be able to push him around again for the best interests of our great country.
So, Soy Boy Trudeau posted a picture at the Barbie movie. So, I wanted to ask you, which side of the Barbenheimer debate did you fall on? Did you prefer Barbie or Oppenheimer? And why?
Oppenheimer was a fantastic movie. I am not into Barbie. You know, they say Justin Trudeau, he lives by the words, I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. And he thinks it's fantastic. It really is incredible, but he loves the Barbie movie. I went to see Oppenheimer, wonderful movie. And you see, they were building a nuclear bomb. If only they knew it was as easy as feeding Stacey Abrams too many White Castles, you get the same nuclear bomb. But they didn't know that, and she wasn't around back then, so they didn't do that. But luckily now we have White Castle and Stacey Abrams, and if that doesn't work out, we've got Rosie O'Donnell right back there too, and we could create what he created very quickly, very easily, without all of the calculations and the math. We'd be able to create it very easily and make it happen. And so we could do that. But I love the movie Oppenheimer. If only they knew how easy it was going to be, though, it would have been a lot funnier of a movie. That much I could tell you.
So NBC, the fake news media, they just came out attacking Vivek Ramaswamy. In a quote, it says, "It is deeply distressing to see that a child of immigrants, himself a person of color, would be lifting talking points from neo-Nazis." And they said an expert said this. So what are your opinions on this?
Well, MSNBC is fake news, or NBC is fake news. You know, they're owned by a company called Comcast. I call them Concast, C-O-N-N, like a con job. I call them Concast. This is a terrible network, and that's why we have to be alarmed with the CEO of X. You know, she comes from Comcast and NBC, and really not a great idea, but we'll see what happens. But anything they say about people like Vivek, they're, first of all, it seems like they're kind of racist to say that. I think they should be upset. You don't talk about a person of color that way. That's the left's rules. Those aren't my rules. That's what they say not to do. But Comcast, these are terrible people. And, you know, when they write bad stories about you, it means you're doing something right. So Vivek Ramaswamy, love that last name. Ramaswamy, fantastic. Uh, he must be doing something right. He must be doing something right for that to be the case. And so I would say to NBC, maybe let's talk about your president and his crackhead son instead of talking about a successful entrepreneur in this country.
Mr. President, Jerome Powell here speaking again. Um, do you think Trudeau would like to touch my printer? That's the question. And I also want to introduce Elon. I think he's here. He's ready. After your response. Thank you.
Well, I absolutely believe Justin Trudeau would enjoy touching your printer. He would love to touch that printer. He would print so many pages off of that thing. Let me tell you something. He'd probably photocopy his ass on it, believe it or not. He'd do a lot of things with your printer. He would love it. I hear he's into that type of thing. And believe it or not, he wanted to touch mine, but I told him, you're not going to do that. And he didn't do that. So to answer your question, yes, I believe he would absolutely. He wouldn't just touch your printer. He'd grab it the way I tended to do the same thing. You know what I'm talking about, but with on the bus. And it wasn't a printer, it was something else. But grab him by the printer, we could call it. He would love to do that to you. I believe so.
Donald Trump, Elon Musk here. It is my pleasure to welcome you back to X. I have one question for you. Are you going to prison?
I will not be going to prison. I will not be going to jail. I will not be going to what they call the slammer. I will not be touching printers. I will not be doing anything like that. But what I will be doing, Mr. Musk, is I will be posting on your platform. I've done it already, and I've gotten one of the most best engaged posts in the history of the world. I will not be sending any more mean tweets. I will be sending mean posts instead. And it will be incredibly fun, but I will not be going to prison, not at all.
So President Trump, like, how are you planning to use X exactly for your campaign? And technically, you did keep your promise. You never came back to Twitter, and it's now X. So, promises kept. So, but how will you use X for
No,
your
I think
campaign?
Elon is having technical difficulties. I don't know if someone is speaking. I can't hear. I can hear you, Mr. President. But let's keep talking about people who would like to touch my printer.
Well, I think
Hey,
people,
Rabbit was speaking, so Jerome, please, no one cares about your printer.
Yeah, no worries. Technical difficulties happen. So President Trump, just tell us how you plan to use X for your campaign. We would love to hear your plans, how you plan to use this wonderful platform. So please go ahead.
well, I was thinking about making my first post a post about Kofifi. I didn't do that. I plan on telling Pocahontas that I'm more Indian than she is, and I haven't done that yet. I plan on telling Rosie O'Donnell that she's a disgusting animal, both inside and out. I plan on asking Speaker Pelosi, not the drunk one, but the other one, former Speaker, whether or not I wanted to tell her. I want to tell her that the hammer doesn't belong there, and she knows what I'm talking about. So that's what I plan to do. But I'm going to post, and we're going to get the word out. We're going to get donations and volunteers, and it's going to be incredible. And it's something that a lot of people have been waiting for, just like they were waiting for the guy who sounds like me to talk to me, and it finally happened. But it was something that a lot of people have been waiting for, and we're going to do it and not let anybody down, believe me.
So President Trump, like, one thing that's great about X is that it's becoming a viable competitor to legacy media and the fake news media. So, what are your thoughts about Spaces like the one you're on right now? And do you think that you prefer this to the old formats that you used to go on?
We love spaces. These are not safe spaces. As a matter of fact, if you're a liberal, it's probably not a good space for you to be in at all. You'll probably drive your car off a cliff like somebody with quote unquote dirt on Crooked Hillary. If you hear this type of space, but we love New X. It's a wonderful platform. It's a fantastic place, and I think it is a lot better than it used to be. And there's a lot more blue checks. I see a lot more blue checks. There's a lot of people got verified. Look at that. Elon has done a tremendous job. But I think it's a wonderful place. I think it is destroying the fake news. You saw what the interview with Tucker, you saw what it did. Hundreds of millions of views. It was like a Ukraine paycheck, hundreds of millions of views. And it was beautiful what happened and what has continued to happen. And we will make it even better. It will be even more enjoyable than it was in the past.
President Trump, you made the decision to go on Tucker's show, right? Tucker on X instead of Fox News. Why is that? Like, what's your beef with Fox News?
Fox News has been behind DeSanctimonious for a long time. You had Brian Kilmeade begging people in a diner, please vote for DeSanctimonious. And so it was going to be a rigged system. And we don't do rigged systems. I don't like those. And we saw what happened in 2020. So we went to Tucker, who's a truth teller. He's a truth teller. And Fox News, fake news, Fox News is not a truth teller. They're terrible. And so we didn't go there. We went to Tucker instead, and we did so much better. The numbers were so much better. And that really hurt Fox's feelings. I think it got their panties in a bunch, like Justin Trudeau when he runs out of soy. Got his panties in a wad. And unfortunately for them, it's their problem. They chose to treat me unfairly. And now we're going to treat them fairly by not going on them and by destroying their operation. So we did it here on X with Tucker, and we did better than anybody could have ever dreamed of doing.
Are you planning to take part in the monetization here on X?
I'm probably going to make more money than anybody's ever made on X. You know, when it comes to monetization, I know a thing or two about it. I'm one of the richest people in the world. I've made a lot of money. I built so many incredible, beautiful things with my two big, beautiful, incredible hands that have been involved in many things, you know, that, but when it comes to the monetization, yes, we're going to take advantage of it. We're going to post a lot on it. We're going to use it, and it's going to be incredible because what Elon is doing is wonderful. And we'll see who wants to advertise on my feed. We'll see who the good people are, and we'll see what happens to them. But we're definitely going to take advantage. I encourage everybody to take advantage of it. It's a wonderful thing to do.
There are a lot of very based advertisers here at X. Um, so would you donate your money like you were donating your
Well, you know, I've got the best lawyers, you know, that I have fantastic lawyers,
Hmm.
and we need to, you know, what we need to do is
Hold on,
use
hold
the
on.
money probably to pay them. Sorry about that. We have to use the money to pay the lawyers and do a lot of these things. Or we have extra, we could do that. We could donate it to fantastic causes. We could donate it to America First campaigns. We'll see what's legal, what's not legal to do. But when I'm your president again, I will donate my salary. We'll donate my salary. I'll do it for free, and I'll do a fantastic job.
So, President Trump, I have a question regarding the new branding. Did you prefer X or Twitter? Which branding is more to your taste?
Well, I like the term tweets. I love the term mean tweets. Mean posts doesn't have a great ring to it, but Twitter left a bad taste in my mouth, probably a worse taste in my mouth than Monica Lewinsky left. We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. But, you know, it left a bad taste in my mouth for what they did. And we'll go with X. We'll say Twitter's in the past and X is the thing of the future. Elon, you could trademark that, but I want royalties. Twitter's in the past and X is the future. What a fantastic slogan. It's almost like I'm good at doing things like that. Make America great again. Twitter's a thing of the past and X is the app of the future, believe me.
Thank you, President Trump. I believe Elon is ready to ask you another question, so I will hand it off to him. Go ahead, Elon.
Hello, Donald. This is Elon Musk again. How do you feel about BBC? Hello.
Well, if you're talking about the network, I don't like it. And if you're talking about the possible equipment of the former First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama, I also don't like it. So I don't like either forms of what you're calling BBC. I don't like either forms of it. And but I would say that if you are in the UK and you're a fan of that, that they're fake news. And if you're a fan of the other thing, well, everybody has their preferences, but you know, not for me. I would say it's not my cup of tea. Believe me.
Mr. President, I was wondering, what do you think of Europe's attempts to clamp down on free speech? It seems like they don't respect the First Amendment, right? They have a completely different rule of law going over there in Europe. What do you plan to do to stop that, to stop this efforts to stifle free speech, to call it hate speech, and all this crap that they're doing?
Well, Europe doesn't have a First Amendment, but we do. And the First Amendment is very important, and free speech is very important. And unfortunately, what's happening in Europe is a disgrace. And what happens over there sometimes comes over here. But if I'm your president, it's not going to happen because we have this beautiful thing called the Constitution. A lot of people don't understand that. But we have the Constitution and it protects our God given rights. And we have the right to free speech. We have the right to, even if the Democrats want to do it, question the results of an election. And they don't get indicted for it, but I get indicted for it. Can you believe that? But when I'm your president, again, we're going to give you the freest and most incredible speech in the history of the world, speech like nobody's ever seen before. And I'll go over to Europe and we'll make them pay Ukraine more than we pay Ukraine because they should be, quite frankly, paying a lot more. We shouldn't be propping them up. And we will fix it. And if they don't want to play ball, they don't have to play ball. But we will protect it in our country. We'll put America first, and that's all that matters.
President Trump, so like lately we've seen kind of a resurgence of the panicky COVID neuroticism that we saw in 2020. So like if they do bring back some of those policies, what is your plan to combat them?
Well, if they bring back the lockdowns, I'm going to tell everybody to relax and don't listen. We're going to say, do not comply. First of all, it's not called COVID, it's called the China virus, because where did it come from? You all know where it came from, China. And, you know, a lot of people say they may not have missed what the results were when I was your president, but they just missed the way I said China. You know that it's a wonderful way to say it, China, the China virus. And so we won't do lockdowns. We're not going to do lockdowns. We're not going to allow that. And if they try to do that, we're going to organize the greatest peaceful and patriotic protests in the history of the world. And we're going to make sure that the world and the country is not shut down again, because it was a terrible thing to do and we should not do those again. And we didn't know at the time, but now we know not to do that, and we're not going to do it. We will not be afraid of the China virus ever again, believe me.
Oh, Mr. President, I've been informed by your staffers that you're about to leave, right? Because you have a further engagement on. I don't know who you're speaking to, but I wanted to ask you a final question. Will you prosecute Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden if you become president, or are you planning something else? Are you going to pardon them? What's going on?
We will never, we will never pardon them. It's never going to happen. We will prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. And yes, I do have to go. You know, I've got to put the phone in airplane mode. We're flying back on my beautiful plane, and it's an incredible plane that we have, the greatest plane in the history of the world. It's so beautiful. And we're definitely not going to pardon. We're going to prosecute them. You know, he's a drug addict. Crooked Joe is probably too, but Hunter's a drug addict. Crooked Joe committed treason. It's a disgrace what they did to our country, and we will fix it. We're going to put those people in jail. You know, I said it to Crooked Hillary when we had the debates. I said, you know, it's awfully good. She said, it's awfully good that I'm not in charge of the law in the country. And, uh, and I said, yeah, because you'd be in jail. And we'll put her in jail too. And we're going to put a lot of people in jail. We're going to take the gloves off and make it right. We're going to do a lot of damage to the Democrat Party, more damage than Chris Christie would do on about 17 different pies from Papa John's, who I happen to know very well. Papa John's is a great guy, and he's a wonderful person. But I do have to go. I want to thank everybody who has been a part of this tonight. It's been wonderful coming back to X. It's a fantastic place. And I want to say thank you to everybody who asked a beautiful question. You all did a tremendous job, and you're all going to help us make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America. And we will catch you at the next one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Trump.
Thank you, President Trump.
Thank you, sir. Guys, it looks like we're wrapping up. This was a long and I think a very fruitful conversation with the former president and hopefully the 47th president. If you enjoy these kinds of spaces, you should follow the Everything Space. Be part of the community. And subscribe if possible. Everybody here on stage, we love you guys. We love interacting with you. And I mean, like Josie, you wanna take it away?
Sure, it's been a real pleasure here to speak tonight with President Trump. we love our subscribers, and we do the Everything Space every Sunday at 7:20 Eastern, 4:20 Pacific, and we have a lot of really cool guests on there that we get to interview. We've had on James Lindsay, we've had on Michael Malice, we've had